Conventions of music videos typically come under four categories: camera, mise-en-scène, editing, and sound and lighting. By following these conventions when structuring a music video, the producer can be sure that it fits the title of a music video and thus appears to be more attractive to their target audience. There are certain shots which are typical in many music videos. For example, close-up shots of the band artist are used repeatedly throughout the music video to ensure a star image is established, as identified by Andrew Goodwin and his theory of music videos. This allows the audience's attention to be solely rested on the artist band themselves, which ultimately makes them more identifiable when it comes to promoting their band and producing merchandise. I have included this in my music video with the shots of the protagonist looking straight into the camera, lip-syncing to the lyrics. Moreover, despite the protagonist not looking directly into the lens in all these shots, it still allows the audience to envision the emotion he is feeling, especially when he is looking through his grandfather's belongings from when he was a member of the forces. However, there were times when I wasn't able to complete this technique to the highest standard possible, so it was difficult to completely follow the conventions. I am specifically referring to 1 minute 42 to 1 minute 48, where I aim to have the protagonist walking in time with the beat and lip-syncing along with the music. However, due to the lack of specialist equipment, I was unable to film this shot to its fullest potential, as I could not walk backwards with the camera quick enough to the beat. As mentioned in my planning stages, tracking and panning are also frequently used in music videos to set the genre and give the audience a clear idea of the location in which the video is set. I was able to use this technique in my music video, where I used tracking to film the protagonist saluting in front of a forest. In my opinion, this was effective. However, if I was to follow conventions more closely, I could have increased the speed of the shot so the tracking takes place much quicker. One way in which I challenge the conventions of music videos, especially alternative rock, is that in many cases, the video starts with an establishing shot to set the scene and educate the audience on the location. However, I decided against this because I ended up filming in 4 different locations, so this would not have been successful in my case. I was able to follow the codes and conventions for mise-en-scène closely because this was important in allowing the audience to fully understand the narrative. By filming in combats, I was able to tell a large part of the narrative simply by what the protagonist was wearing. Moreover, it created a sense of realism in which the viewer instantly knew the narrative was involving the military right from the very start. Although, due to the concept of my music video, I was unable to follow the traditional conventions of alternative rock videos, in which band members are often seen to be wearing ripped jeans and band t-shirts. In terms of editing, one of the most iconic conventions is cutting to the beat, as this links the visuals to the audio, which Andrew Goodwin emphasised the importance of in his theory. From the very start, this was important in my music video, as it dictated my shot lengths and later brought on the idea of adding still images into the black gaps which originally existed in my music video. Bright lighting is often used in music videos to create a happy, utopic atmosphere. In contrast, dark colours represent lack of hope, anger, and sadness. The majority of my music video is filmed in bright lighting because my main aim was to present the military in a positive light. Nevertheless, there are some shots which are set in a darker light, which gives a more realistic view of the army, as common associated problems are missing family, war, and injury, things that ultimately can't be avoided. Commonly associated with alternative rock music videos is the combination of narrative and performance. Despite my decision to incorporate a lot of narrative into my music video, it is quite apparent that there is very minimal performance element in it. Instead, I chose to keep this minimal by just using lip singing used under this category. I can justify my choice because in the performance element of alternative rock bands, there is often a group of musicians seen together in which they play their instruments. In contrast, there is just one character in my music video, so I do not believe including shots, for example, him playing the guitar, would have appropriately suited the conventions of this genre. Moreover, As shown by my target audience research, more respondents preferred narrative over both concept and performance, hence my decision to include more narrative than performance in my music video. Finally, iconography is the visual representation of symbols and images. Drugs are often linked to this, which help show the iconography of the alternative rock genre. Therefore, I can reason my use of the cigarette in my music video because of its typical nature, which is normally associated with this genre. Also, it helps to convey the message of the hardships associated with the military. Moreover, as mentioned previously, the lyrics of this section of the song are "back and forth through my mind, behind a cigarette." Thus, I can link the visuals to the lyrics, referring to Andrew Goodwin's theory of music videos to explain my choice in mise-en-scène. The front and back of digipacks are the main promoters of the CD and are very much used to draw in the consumers. In comparison, the inside is used for information purposes based on the album, artist and band. My digipack has followed this due to the protagonist, lead singer, shown on the front cover of my digipack. This shows a consistent relation to the artist, ensuring the promotion of the White Stripes as a band. Although, I have challenged typical conventions on my front cover, as this usually features the album name and the band name. I decided against including the album name because Seven Nation Army and the White Stripes are more identifiable than Elephant, so I don't think it would have expanded the promotional aspects of the video by including the album name. Imagery and lettering are aspects of digipacks which need to be carefully considered in the production process. Within the alternative rock genre, digipacks often contain an image which suits the genre with contrasting bright and dark colours. The image is often serious and staged, which is exactly my front cover, where the protagonist is looking directly into the lens, luring the audience into picking up the album from the shelf. Many digipacks of this genre are brightly coloured, and despite my own not necessarily following this, my bright white lettering has a strong contrast against the dark background, which is another way in which albums are often portrayed in this genre. I chose to do this because my music video is based around a serious concept, and I didn't want to risk making a mockery of the army or undermining its importance by using brightly coloured fonts and images. Many of the websites I researched, primarily including Imagine Dragons, Bastille, Paramore and Fall Out Boy, followed very similar conventions. With the exception of Paramore, they all took a very masculine approach. I can make this assumption due to the dark colours used and bold lettering and imagery. This provided a very minimal outlook to the website, which I have interpreted being associated with alternative rock genres. From research, they all followed a very similar template, including a web bar at the very top of the page, and the promotion of their latest single or album release on their front page. I have adopted this technique in my own website because the first thing the audience sees after the band name, as social media bar is presented, is my music video, Seven Nation Army. The reason why my front page is fairly simplistic is because I want the main focus to be emphasised on their new release, their music video, and their merchandise. Therefore, I have followed the conventions according to the front pages of alternative rock websites. Moreover, in all websites I looked at, the lettering was all presented in capital letters, as this makes the writing much more legible. It also has a masculine appeal to it, which has been consistent across all three of my media products. I chose to use this approach to attract a large number of my target audience, making the website appear more interesting and directed at the viewer. I chose to use white lettering because, as seen in websites such as Fall Out Boy, Bastille and Imagine Dragons, they have all used white writing to contrast against the dark background, a convention I have used in my website. In most websites, regardless of their genre, they use social media a lot to put out their brand image and make them more popular. It is an essential aspect of gaining popularity and making media products more diversely known. As a result, I inserted links to the White Stripes social media accounts as frequently as possible to increase their fame and status in society. Unfortunately, sometimes I had to link to Third Man Records, the company they work with, because the band did not have a verified or official links, for example, to Instagram. To make my website be more professional, I used various multimedia platforms and links to other websites for the reader to visit. This includes those such as Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify, which ultimately will increase the likelihood of consumers purchasing these projects which are being advertised. The typical page headings for band websites are About, News, Tour, Music, Videos, Contact, and Store. These are the most important features of websites because, other than media platforms such as social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat and the like, websites are a way for fans to keep up to date with their favourite bands and artists. I was able to include all bar one of these pages on my website, which I believe appeared to work out extremely effective. As the White Stripes are no longer now present, they stopped touring in 2014, which meant I was unable to create a page linking the viewer to any upcoming concerts or tour dates. Finally, my store page outcome was very professional, as I was able to use a combination of templates provided from Wix and making my own merchandise to create a legitimate and aesthetically pleasing store in which the reader has the ability to purchase their items from. Many websites advertise these more than once across their website, hence why I was able to make the decision to market my merchandise on the front page as well, increasing the likelihood of members of the public investing in my products produced for the White Stripes.